if you're new here, I'm Heidi, and this is my husband Matt and our adventure dog Teddy. We recently sold up our beloved property, bought a big 4x4 van, and have decided to give full-time travel life a go. Our channel, Horton Adventures, shares with you the journey so far, from four-wheel driving, camping, now van life, and all the highlights and realities of taking the road less travelled. This morning we're up bright and early heading into Christchurch to drop off Wolf for his first service. Last night we moved a heap of our gear, including the bed, out of the van because we're going to be leaving the van in Christchurch for the week to have some suspension work done as well. To make the most of the lovely day in the city, we went for a walk out at Sumner in the sunshine with Teddy between our appointments. At the end of the day, we picked up the van from Jayco, dropped it round to the suspension workshop, and then headed back south to our friends for the week. Set to pick Wolf back up on the Saturday, with a lovely lift in the rear and able to move everything back into our home on wheels. It's kind of funny realising how little physical possessions we now have with us. All we really needed for the week without our van was somewhere to stay, our clothes, toiletries, work gear, and Teddy's stuff. Glad to be reunited with our home again, we spent a lazy Sunday afternoon in the sunshine down at a local beach. Good afternoon. It has been a whirlwind week in terms of Wolf, our van. So at the start of the week, we took Wolf to Christchurch, dropped him off at Jayco for his first service. So when you have got your brand new Jayco, you have to go in for a 3-month service and then an annual service for the first 5 years for warranty purposes. So that's what happened at the start of the week. We knew we were going to be leaving the van in Christchurch, so we took 2 vehicles. Matt drove the van, I took his truck, and we headed up first thing in the morning, dropped Wolf off to Jayco for his service. There was a couple of things that we just wanted them to check over that we had questions about, a couple of little fixes, like there was a little bit of the kitchen edging on the bench that had come away, so we asked if they could fix that. And then we had one major issue that we wanted to get checked out, and when I booked in the service I explained to them and they were like, oh yeah, we know exactly what that is. So we upgraded the power system in the van so that it was going to be really capable off-grid. So we've got a 3,000 watt inverter, we've got solar, we've got DC charging off the alternator of the vehicle, plenty of battery, plenty of solar, all the things, so that we really don't need to plug in. And we immediately found on our drive home that the DC to DC charger was derating because of the smart alternator. So this is a 2025 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter with a very complex computer system in it, including a smart alternator, which most late model vehicles have smart alternators. But from what I understand, once the smart alternator sees that the vehicle battery is nicely charged and it's happy, it goes into a float state, so it's not cranking as much and generating as much power. It kind of derates itself. And when that happens, the DC to DC charger that we have for our house battery, it notices the drop in voltage from the smart alternator, and so it derates how much it's pulling, or able to pull, I guess, from the vehicle as we're driving. And so we did like a 6-hour drive on one of the days, and it only actually input like 4% into our battery, and it was nowhere near fully charged. So we did a heap of research, and we realized that there is one simple wire that Jayco don't install for these vans that kind of overrides that float system essentially. Anyway, I guess because the vehicle is so new, there's not very many of them in New Zealand. It was the first one that Jayco Canterbury had seen, and then they were getting conflicting information from Jayco Australia and from Projecta, who is the brand of all the power equipment componentry that we have. It ended up being such an ordeal. They had the vehicle for the whole day, didn't get anywhere. They actually initially tried to tell us that there was nothing wrong with the system and that it was working as it should. Because of course for the first 30 minutes when you're driving, it does work perfectly. It's not until that smart alternator drops the voltage that you notice the difference. So that was a whole ordeal, and I optimistically thought that they'd be like, yep, sweet, we know what it is, install the wire, happy days, and that the problem would be fixed the same day of the service. Not that easy, but that's okay. It only took more than a couple of frustrated phone calls. We got given some more information, and we changed some configuration in the back end of the Projecta system, did some more testing, and we still aren't actually fixed. So after being told that we didn't need the wire, that it wasn't a warranty issue, that maybe we needed the wire but we needed to test some other stuff, and that it was too new to need the wire, back and forth, we've essentially been told that we do need that wire installed. So now we are waiting for Jayco to supply that wire under warranty and for us to get told that we can take it back to Jayco Canterbury. So that's where we're at with that. Not too big of a deal. It's small stuff. It's not stopping us from living in the van, and it will be fantastic once we do get it all sorted. A little bit of an annoyance because it is over an hour's drive into Christchurch from where we're based at the moment, and we're actually only based here for another 3 weeks. So hopefully we get all of that sorted. Anyway, that's not even the whole week. So, like I said, we knew the van was staying in Christchurch. At the end of that day, we were dropping the van round to a suspension workshop to get an upgrade on the rear suspension, because he is just on the standard Mercedes suspension, which isn't really made for having it fully kitted out with all the weight of a camper van and all the componentry that ends up going into a camper van, and then all your gear that goes into the camper van. And so one of the things that we always had on our want list, I guess, was that we would upgrade the suspension. We dropped Wolf into the suspension workshop on the Monday afternoon, knowing that we would be leaving him there for maybe the whole week, because they had to kind of assess the situation, figure out what they were going to do, and replacing or adding to the leaf spring system in the back, and then whether that would require new shocks. And they were doing measurements and then getting the springs made. We knew it wasn't going to be just like a day in and out, so we dropped him off there, which was quite exciting because he just didn't really look aesthetically that pleasing, having a bit of a saggy butt. So I was quite excited for how he was going to look, and also excited for how it was going to handle, because one of the things that we noticed with the van once we had really shifted in, once we put our bed in and shifted all of our gear in here, is that when you're in town, it's not so much on the open road when you're going faster, but when you're in town and you're at intersections, it's a bit wallowy. However, I guess because of all that weight, it's just a little bit not very nice handling around corners and in town. And so I was really looking forward to seeing some improvement in that, just stiffening up the suspension in the back. So we dropped him off there, came home for the week. Funny to say came home, but where we're based with friends, we are so fortunate that we have actually been able to pretty much move in with them for the week and have a base. Matt was still able to work, and then that weekend we were told that he was ready to come and pick up. So another trip up to Christchurch, went and picked him up. We're very excited to see Wolf, and he looks so good with his new suspension and is handling so much better. And yeah, we're excited for this like first phase of the suspension upgrade for him. I'm sure it won't be the last one, but it has made a marked improvement. Anyway, the shine of that excitement was kind of dulled a little bit when the workshop explained to us that one of their boys had decided to put a gouge in the front bumper of Wolf while he was in the workshop. Now, Wolf is a big boy. He takes up a lot of room in a workshop bay, and yeah, they rammed the tyre changer into the front bumper of Wolf, and there's no saving it. There's no panel beating or anything like that with it, because it's the plastic part of the front bumper that's got all the sensors and everything in it, so it just needs completely replaced, which is fine. They were really upfront about it, and they were really apologetic and getting it all sorted. They're dealing with the insurance. They have got a new bumper ordered from Mercedes overseas and are keeping us informed, and they have been fantastic about it. It hasn't taken up any of our headspace, which is really nice, because you know when these things go wrong and then they play on your mind. So as far as that goes, we're really happy with the way that they've dealt with it. They were really professional and really apologetic. However, it just made me stop and think about something that I want to share with you, because I remember saying at the start of this big adventure that I was going to share all the realities, the highs and the lows of this new lifestyle that we have chosen for ourselves. And so I guess this is probably a little bit of a low, right? It was pretty frustrating and disappointing when we got told about it, and it's just made me think a little bit about something that I want to share with you. Well, both of us, right, could have got like really frustrated, really upset about it, let it like really annoy us. And a little part of me at the very beginning, the day that we found out about it, a part of me was kind of like, it feels like nothing is going right. And I guess I'm not sharing any of this because I'm wanting to have a whinge or a pity party about it. A little bit salty, but shit happens and everything is fixable. And I guess I want to share this because I could have spiraled, got really frustrated, been angry, really stewed on it, and just been like in the pit about things not going right. I could have chosen to feel like this is cursed, we're just not having a good run with the van, when what I'm choosing instead is the gratitude that we actually have got somewhere to be based where we can be safe, we can be grounded and get these little teething issues sorted. Okay, we didn't foresee Wolf's front bumper getting damaged. However, it's getting fixed. They're sorting it. It's not taking up my headspace. Again, shit happens. There's no point of me worrying about something that has already happened, that having emotion towards it isn't going to change it. It's being all sorted out. So everything is fixable, and instead just choosing to let it go and to choose to be like grateful for the fact that it's getting sorted out. We're still drivable, we're still able to live back, and we've shifted back into Wolf. We'll be able to do like that bumper's not going to arrive for a couple months into New Zealand because overseas parts. I guess I'm really getting comfortable with the fact that things will go wrong. Things are going to go wrong when you live in your house that is also your vehicle. Like, things go wrong in your house, right? When you have a house, sometimes you have to call in the plumber or the electrician, or you have a leaking roof, or you need a window replaced, or a dishwasher stops working. Whatever it is, stuff goes wrong when you live in a house, and it has to get sorted out. The same with a vehicle. When you own a vehicle, things are always going to go wrong with a vehicle. Things will go wrong with a house. And it just so happens that with our lifestyle, that's all in one. And yes, it can be a little bit stressful, and you know, we've been lucky in this circumstance that we are still just finding our feet and doing a really soft launch into van life, so we're not way out off grid and, you know, suddenly just popping into the city to get these things done and then things not going to plan, and, you know, we would potentially have to hole up in a motel or something until we could get away on the road again. We are really, really fortunate in that regard, and that's not to say that down the track that's not going to happen. But these things are going to happen. Your house is moving. So we are literally putting our house and everything that we have with us and all the things that we do every day, like the water, the power, all the fixtures, everything is going through mini earthquakes. In fact, probably not mini earthquakes, quite severe earthquakes every time we drive on the road. It is going to be shaking things up, breaking things, wearing things. And that's just a reality, I guess, of van life. There will be things broken down. There will be things that we'll be making do with and just having to live around sometimes, because things are going to break. Things are going to stop working, and we are just going to have to deal with it as it happens. And that's okay. And I'm learning to be okay with that, and for it not to stress me out as much as I kind of thought that part of van life would at the start. If you're going through something at the moment that is out of your control, if something happens today that is a bit frustrating or disappointing and you just feel like it's going to ruin your whole day, then I hope that I can inspire you to choose to make it mean something else, or choose not to let it mean anything. Just, it is what it is, right? You can't undo it. Can't change it. The only thing you can focus on is a solution and a way forward. Choose happiness and contentment and gratitude and all those good things about life, because that's what life's about. I hope you have a beautiful day. That's a bit of an update from us. Thanks for joining me in the van for a yarn while I put my laundry away and do some chores. Also, how cute is Teddy? Yeah, we mean. Here's some additional content that you didn't ask for. I've got my hands on some cardboard and I'm going to use it to make a partition between all of these spice jars, because as perfect as this is up here, when we are on like gravel roads or rough roads, this just, yeah, makes that sound. So I'm going to make a wee cardboard like partition so that they don't touch each other. Van life hack for you if you like having pretty things but don't want them jiggling around making all the noise.
That kept me alive. I said, hold on. You say goodbye.
So, been underneath here putting in this hot water saver valve. The white line is our hot water. This is the valve, so what it does is the hot water comes out here, and until it reaches a certain temperature it just recirculates back through this hose back over there into the breather of the water tank. It just keeps recirculating. Once it's up to temperature, opens up, goes through there, and we get hot water without any wastage.